the screen visible?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. So see, for any develop, see, as per the see now it is like two projects we'll discuss. One is support and one is implementation. Implementation, change management. See, these all you remember the types of projects we discussed, right? Like what are the different types, all those. Okay. So if we start with, let me paint. So SAP products a product and SAP product support will not have any documentation. Okay. So what they will do is they'll just give all the KT sessions or the handover from my this is my product core product development team. Okay. So what they'll do is they'll just explain you what are the developments they have done. Okay. Then we'll as part of the product support whenever the issue comes up we'll have to just take it up to give the fix. We have to categorize the fix like is it a configuration issue. So that is completely dependent on my tool. Okay. I'll check if I can show, but that is customer system. I'll get caught. Okay. So we use service now. I work as part of SAP Lab. So I am part of these two actually. SAP product development and SAP product support. So we use the tool called service now. Okay. So other thing is migration projects, migration upgrade. Then we can have okay, migration upgrade, new implementation. Implementation. I think this is it. Support. It's not product support, it's project support. So these two support things are available. Okay. So in the first one, SAP product development, it will be on my SAP systems, internal systems. So what they'll do is they'll develop a product, they'll test it in the quality or my test systems. Then if it is working fine, then they'll deploy to my client systems. So that is the procedure in the product. So you'll not come across much documentation here. Only it will be like EKT documents. It's the name and some handover sessions you will have. And production support, yes, through its normal support project kind of thing, but it is like on the component level. So what is a component is I'll just show. See, uh, if I come from top to bottom approach, components is my first one. But generally, we'll go from bottom top approach. See, I'll go from the program. So this is my program. Okay. So my program will be always in my packages. If you go to attributes, to see the package, the program will be always part of a package. Here is the component. See, application component BCDW PWD So this component, each component has a support team. So if one issue comes, they'll check where is the issue. If it is a configuration or it can be managed without any code change, then we can just reply back whether it's a test data issue or a configuration issue. We'll just reply back to the customer. In case we are doing any change in the code level, then we'll have to check what is the application component. We'll have a list of application components. See, I work for logistics. There is something called commodity pricing. So if I feel that particular code is belonging to my component, then I'll do the change. If I feel that it is not belonging to my component, I'll come and check it here. Then I'll assign to this particular component. We'll have a field called component in my tool. So based on that, we can just assign it back. So this is on my these two projects. Migration in the sense, see they are on older version ECC to this is termed as migration project. So for all these projects you should have a documentation. Okay. So one such FS. Okay. So any requirement which comes on the functional should come with an functional specification. The format of this functional specification is project dependent. It is not a generic format. So what all details you will have is the product owner, see the client name, project, and this is the format. this format differs from each and every client. It's not a common template which is followed. Okay, so this is for a printout actually. So a smart form. So they'll describe all these details. Okay, this is all my format dependent. So if you come to the requirements, okay, so here it function specification starts. So they'll tell, okay, this is the need for my development. The purpose of the document is to send payment advice print from SAP system to vendor email ID. Then what is the input selection? So this is a report we'll have to write, okay, to make sure we print a form and send it to my vendor. So this is the vendor email ID. So for each and everything the logic will be given. So this is my input selection parameter. Okay, it's on the selection screen, SE38 program selection screen we spoke now, that one. The document number from 2. That means it is like should have a selection screen. So with this description we can understand whether it's a selection screen or a parameter. See, company code has only one field, means it is a parameter field. So with this we can understand what kind of input screen we'll have to give. Create a new GT code, description, payment advice. Okay, so that report you will put it in this T code. Now comes my functional specification for my form. So here in detail they have to give which field is coming from what, which field on my smart form is coming from which table entry or my structure or database table, whatever it is, they'll have to give. So once we discuss the fields now, I think vice versa will be easy. Let me put a screen. See, in this they have attached the layout, the form layout they are supposed to attach. So if I come down, there is attachment saying, where is it? See, output format, columns and subfiles. This is a mandatory thing for my smart form. Okay. So what I can do, just go back to the top. Okay, here it is. Yeah, functional spec, and here is my layout. So this is the sample layout. So when discussing smart forms, I told that this is a mandatory step from functional spec. Okay, so this is how the layout should look. We said the logo is here, payment advice. So each and everything it should be mentioned in the functional spec. Otherwise, you cannot write logic for that. So if we go one by one, there's a logo, ETG logo, then payment advice. It's a hard code heading. Then recipient name and contact information. Okay, this is the one. It is a hard code subheading. So now they have given all the other details. See, pass input parameters to input parameters, whatever we gave in the selection screen, to this table, company code to this field. So they are getting some data out of it. Okay. Then you see advice sending date. So advice sending date. This is the field. So you have to declare a global structure or a variable, whatever. I mean that is on your design pattern. There is no predefined way, and map this field. These are my labels. Okay, so whatever is highlighted in my board is my label. So that should be on directly hard coded on my form level, and these values they will give the logic. So if I see for each and say advice sending date, yes we have. So this is how it should print. Advice reference number. This is the advice reference number. So GL description and serial number. Okay, this is the one. So they say okay, pass this particular value to so and so, get this display this text. So this is the logic for my complete field active advice reference number. Then coming to this side, uh, beneficiary name, beneficiary bank, account, vendor code, vendor address. We have around 5 values. So for the 5 values, the logic should be available. If it is missing, you can directly get in touch with the person who has shared with the FS. If it is missing, we cannot do anything because we are not functionally that good and in understanding the business. Okay, so for each and every field you should get it. So it says for this bank, this field name. So this FI bank name 1 is my beneficiary bank. Then bank is at pass it display. So this one you have to display. Then for beneficiary account you have logic, vendor code you have logic, vendor address you have this logic. So we have all this logic for this beneficiary details. Now if we come to the next part, remittance amount, payment date, remitter name, remitting back and UTR code. So similarly, we will have all the details for this particular values. So remittance account, then payment date we have, remitter name we have, remitting bank we have, UTR number. So at that point of preparing the file, there is a logic will be provided later. So that is currently blank. So this is called my header part. Sorry, this complete thing is called my header part. Okay. Then my this whatever is here is my table. So we have seen a display. I mean example of table also, right? So that is part of my table. The last one is my footer. So in footer, it's a simple text saying this is auto-generated document, no signature is required. My footer is very simple here. Okay, now coming to the logic of my table. So the table creation in my smart form is the same. Only thing is the records and the record logic you will have to understand from the FS. Bill number, okay, see. So we have bill number, document reference, payment document, billing amount paid before current payment. These are the fields. So for each field they will have to give the logic. So it starts with my billing number. Okay, it says a pass all these fields, get these these values and print it. So for document reference, what is the logic? Payment document, billing amount, paid before, and current payment. Each field has my logic. Current payment. So some logic they have given for remarks. Remarks where it is, we have a column called remarks. I think I have. Yeah, remarks set is there at the end. So what is the logic for remarks? So each field level they will give the logic. So this is how FS for my function, smart form look. So it's a printout. Then they have given like the requirement was you have to send this printout to my vendor. So they will give the details of how you should pick the email ID of the vendor. That should be available. Section 3 hard code. Yeah. Okay, vendor. I think they have given the details of how to pick the vendor directly. So based on that, we can pick the email ID. Vendor payment advice. The vendor code. Okay, vendor address. If you see here, ADRC is my vendor address table, and based on this address number, we have one table called ADR6. I just show that in the system. So these are generic tables only. It's not specific to any brand. These are generic. SC16. So ADRC is my address table. This will have two things. One is address number and my address version. So latest version will have the highest number. My address number comes from my vendor master table. So if we come to the tables, there are some standard tables I said, right? So let me just list out the tables. So we'll try to list as many tables as possible. I'll just create one notepad. Let me save it. So this should be like, if you don't know, that is fine. You can just Google it and find it out. So the initial stages will have to just try to remember this. So we have two things, vendor and customer. One is LFA1. This is for vendor master, and customer master would be KNA1. Yeah, customer master. So if I go to LFA1, this is my vendor master table. So if I see, I'll see if I have any entries. Yeah, we have quite a few entries. I'll take some 5. First table what is as LFA1, vendor master. Okay. Second one what is as KNA1. Customer master. But nothing to worry if you don't know, because here it will they'll give actually. So if I go to my bank vendor details, So they'll give definitely. It is just for our knowledge purpose. Where is my vendor? See, vendor they have given. Go to BU200, take address number, then give it in ADRC. See, ADRC is my address data. Okay, so that is what I was telling. So here my vendor will have my address number. So here it is BU200, so it's a customer actually. Okay, there are some common tables. There is my business partner. BUT000 is my header table for my business partner. BP general data. BUT000. Okay. So in similarly, if you want to see any data tables available, just use star. So we have so many tables with BUT. So what generally the usage is the general data. This is the main table, and it will be linked with other tables. So client is common in every table. Okay, that is client dependent. So if I just go back to my other field. So this is my, if you just double click on the entry, it will show both my value and my unconverted value. This is my converted value for display. Okay, so that's why you see number 1 here, we have the preceding zeros here. We will try to see if I have the address number. Address person number. Let me try. We'll just see how the address is maintained. That's it. It is, not be there. Okay, we have the address number here. So this is my field. So if I want to select this that output, this is the option. So now I just want to display only my address number, vendor number, and his country. Okay, so I can just click execute. So these are my address numbers. So if I want, this is on a just looking at the table level. So same code you can just write it in your program also. So this is my address number. I'll give it in ADRC table. ADRC. See, ADRC key field is my address number. So we'll have to get the address number somehow. If it is a vendor, customer, business partner, everything will have its own address number. Number of entries only one. Good. Let me open that. So this is, so one question here would be definitely like, we have address, name, everything on my table level, but still why we are using a separate table. Okay, so here my wonder, you can just see here. See, my city is there, PO box is there, postal code is there, name, address. This is address number. Okay, so this is in my master table level. So if you want to maintain multiple addresses, like suppose in Amazon, you can see the billing address, shipping address. You can add multiple address to your same account. So you will be a customer to Amazon. Okay, so my customer can have different shipping addresses and billing addresses. So the basic difference between my billing address and shipping addresses, on my invoice who will pay and who will receive my goods. So this is my basic business terminology. On SC, this is common across all ERPs. So Amazon has its own ERP. Flipkart is actually running on SAP. The backend of Flipkart is completely SAP. Okay, so in SAP, we have customers, vendors, and suppliers. So these are different business parts. See, on a common term, it is a business partner. So that person, suppose if I am working with Amazon in some other way, I am called a business partner. But if I come to a detailed classification, whether I am a vendor, I am a customer, I am a supplier, so these details will have a separate master data. So vendor master data, customer master data, all this will be available. So if I pick this address, so for this address, this is my address number. If I pick, okay, here I will have all my address data. So they can say from ADRC, these fields we saw now, ADRC street, for all this what I have to print will come here. Okay. Now this is for address. For email ID, there is a table called ADR6. Sorry, ADR6. Let me note down. 426. ADRC address table. The fifth one is ADR6 for email address. Okay, the same address number is available. When you will get person number is so we can identify this email is two different things, address number as well as person number, so that whichever key is available you can find it out. So I don't think that key is available there. See, we have more than 3 lakh entries. Let me pick the first 5. Nothing is maintained. So let me see. Email address is not initial. The selection. To space 47 400 are there. So I'm just picking up 5. See, so email address and email address search. So this is for my searching. So it's my search. There is a different searches available, like HANA search, fuzzy logic search. Many things are there. So it will be having, see, both my address number and person number. So this is my key combination. The validity date, from which date is valid. So this is how you can identify a person's name, email ID and address. So name will be coming from a header data only. Yeah, address is from ADRC and email is from ADR6. Now in this case we wanted to send an email, right? So what we can do is just get my email ID from ADR6. There are some classes, ready-made classes, function modules for sending emails. So let me see if we can have some code. So that is very simple. See, we have to prepare the sender, subject line, then body of my email. Then if you want to send any attachments, you can send attachments. So we'll see this there. Yes, services. No, I'm doing the wrong CLBC. Okay. So, so this is the class generally we use for sending emails. When attachments are there, there are even function modules also, but we are not using it much because all the features are available. Let me just pick up an example if we have any. So we'll see how the email is sent. I think we have few. Let me pick up the T code list. T code list. So SOST, I'll just see if I have mentioned, because in that is where we check whether my emails are sent or not. SOST. Okay, to see emails outbound. Okay. So now if you have a requirement to send emails, this is the code you can use. Okay, so the constants, these are all senders. Okay, so mail to person who want to send. So this is just a sample, that is why you are hard coded it, but you should not hard code the emails. Okay, so who is the sender, who is the receiver, all those you can declare it here. Okay, so once you that is done, create document and send it. So it will be very simple actually. Let me execute and show. So file I'll just give. I'll just go in debug mode. So we will see step by step what happens in my email. So everything is controllable here, like subject line, So sometimes they'll ask, I need some billing number. So those things we can just concatenate. Those are common strings actually, nothing else. So this is my conversion exit. I'll go back to my code. No, this is not. That's just email. So here it starts with create content, then center. This is my perform. So it is not mandated that we'll have to do it. This is my modulation technique. So concatenate. This is they are putting into string. Okay. So that's they are just selecting some data. Some selection. I'll ignore my selection. We'll see what is that in a string. So this is just like, okay, this is just an example. They have put some content. Okay. So that is my content. So if I come out of my content, I'm just debugging this content selection. Just execute. Give me something. I think system is and not able to execute. Yeah, I'll go back. See now this is a persistence request. Okay, so what it will do is this we discussed, right? Persistence class. So my CLBCS is my persistence class. So here it is trying to use all these mail related tables directly. Okay, so this is the procedure. Send request we'll have to create. Then main text we have declared. Main text in the sense it is the main body. Okay, so it is a text type. Okay, so I'm just appending it. So it will create a document saying this my text. If you want to add an attachment, so this method here, this PCS service document, let me see, document PCS. This is my class, and all my methods you can use it. If you have attachments or you want to send some document PCS, we'll see what all the methods are available. See, we have so many methods here. Display document, then we'll have create document. So create document is what we'll start with. Then add document as attachment. So if you want to add some files, like they'll ask like, okay, this invoice I want as attachment, all these things will come into picture. So now document add attachment. So you can type what is the type, it's Excel file, example spreadsheet. This dynamically we can give these values. You cannot hard code this, you should not hard code this. Okay. Then send request. Okay. So we can also give multiple recipients. It's not like single recipients, it's multiple recipients you can give. Mail to is what we have given. That is my, we took it from a selection screen. So in our example, I mean in my FS you can see we can pick it from a ADR6 table and give that email address here. We just have to handle it. That's it. So now send the document. The email is going to be sent in this. So commit work, why it is required is, see on my table level, any table operation you are doing, once you do a commit work, it will actually hit my database. Otherwise, it will be just hanging around. So commit work and rollback, we have discussed this actually. Send to all. Okay, okay, it's a message. That's it. Done. I think now, yeah, it's done. We'll go to transaction SOST. I think this we have written the transaction. Yes, SOST. See, this is the email we created. So, which who has created it? The recipient. So all this is like a monitoring of my emails. If I click on this, or if I double click, it will show the details in a column format. What is the details of this sender? So recipient number, object. These are dynamically created. If you want to see the email, select it and click on display document. Okay. So in display document, so what we had is we just have the content called hello world. The body did not come. We will have to check why it is. And we try to attach an Excel sheet. So this is my file name and what kind of file. So file content, in case you want to give, you can also provide the file content. See, this is actually an example, so we haven't given any file content. But used cases will be like in my previous FS also. We'll have to send that invoice or vendor document to that guy. So here we'll have to convert it to my binary and push it. See this one, binary content. This is where this is being converted. This is the content of my file. So for PDFs, what they can all do is they'll put into Xstring. There is a format called Xstring. So they'll PDFs, they'll put it as Xstrings and they'll send it. Binary solid stack. Okay. Created. That's the reason that we didn't get the content of my PDF. Let me see if I can get the text. No. So Xstring in the sense now what happens now? So PDF document, suppose if we are putting it in a PDF, the backend format like it will be generally XML. So XML, it is actually difficult to handle. So what we will do is we'll convert to Xstring and send it as attachments. So that is the scenario where we cover sending emails with attachments. Okay. So similarly for my for functionals, the things will be either reports. Okay. Function modules is technical, like how you want to use it is my technical way. So in the reports also we'll just get this generically, like this is my selection screen. Then this is my what you can say, this is my selection logic. Okay, for this field this value should come, and what is my output format, like a computer, like what is my input, what is my processing logic, what is my output. I'll try if I have a FS for reports. Let me check that. Let me check if I have an FS for my reports also. Don't have. No, I don't have. Let me check if I have the same. This payment atlas. Okay, some other thing is there. Let me open this. Yeah, it's a report. Okay, fine. So we got an FS for a report. Okay. So this is again comes from the functional guy only. So in this project, what that it is, the functional and technical spec are same. So generally it will not be same. So that is again completely dependent on the project, how the project documentation they want to take it up. So here the functional spec is on the above, and after everything is done, technical specifications we'll have to add it here. Okay. So for this report, we'll see what all things are given. Okay. Now brief description of the development. This is again my FS format. Okay. So okay. So what they are doing is this is a standard report, and they are trying to enhance that standard report. So if you come to the bottom, I think this will be a very complicated report. Uh, Literally very complicated. Okay, see, they will start with input parameters and select options. Okay, this is the logic because 35 fields is like it's a very big report of around 40 to 50 fields. That's the reason we have a big logic there. Okay, So if I see the basic thing, so all this logic is like a processing logic. So this particular field, how you should get it, and this particular field, how you should get. This is my CPU logic. So if I term in a computer terminology, this is my processing logic. So coming to input, see this is like input parameters and select options. See it says input screen, very simple. Company code, plant and selection date. So if there's a single selection, it is my parameters. I mean key parameter keyword. If there's a multiple selection, it is my select options. So if I see, yeah. So output also they are given here. Like this would be my output format. Yeah. This is how it should. Okay. So what we can do is either we can prepare a structure, then put it to my give it to my ALV. Try to pick a program. I have reports. I have written one small report on oops actually. Let me see stock valuation. So in the stock valuation report, the logic was very simple. So you can refer this program, but they said it should be written in my O above context. So what I did is I put a selection screen. So here, what all fields we have is one company code, single selection. Site is plant here. Plant is in a multiple selection. Movement type is my goods movement type. Posting date, document posting date, and order number. Order is my purchase order number. Okay. So I have given. So this has come in my FS. So I have given all these fields, and this is selection screen block just for beautification. I just execute it and show how the selection screen looks. If I execute it, see this is how my selection screen looks. My company code, plant, movement type, posting date, and purchase document. So my logic was given like, okay, what all fields I have to select from which table. So I will go to my class. So I have done it in my O context. So that is the reason you see a class here. So it was given like, okay, one EKKO G order number, that is a client specific G field. So it is not available in this particular system. So it says, okay, select these fields in my output, and my output format should be, they have given the output format actually. So based on that, I have created a structure. This is my structure, TY output. So they said, okay, purchase order, order number, quantity, quantity unit, posting date, and article number should be my output format. So my manipulation is very simple here. I have selected the records. Okay, if there is no records found, I am just giving a message saying no records found. And if I have found the records, whatever the data I have selected, okay, so this is from a selection. LTEKB is from a selection. I am just preparing the output structure, okay, using field symbols. So if you observe what I have selected EPLN, BWART, this sequence is in my table field sequence, and this will be my output order. So each field I have just looped and passed it back to my normal fields, and I have prepared this internal table for output, GT output. So GT output I am just giving it using this one, ALV. So in ALV we can print it three different ways. One is like you can manually prepare the field catalog, like what should be the field length, what should be the field name, technical field name, all this you can prepare and then give it. Second one, there is a function module called reuse ALV. Reuse ALV. Just grid display. Okay. So if I use this function module, it will just give me output. See, these are all parameters we can use sorting. There are so many parameters. It is purely based on the requirement. Generally, If they are not giving any selection, they will generally say my output should be whatever report output should be downloadable. Means I should I should be able to download written to Excel file. That is the most common requirement. Or they also prepare this report, send it to an email. So I haven't seen any other requirements actually. These are the two commonly used requirements. So here this is the procedure, like to print and to display an ALV in OOPS. This is how we will have to do it. This is for, see, this is my CL class for my ALV. So I have instantiated that, getting the instance based on this output. Okay, so what it will do is this will return my reference to this table with the same format. Let me debug and show. So plant, I don't know what is that. So let me put, see if any purchase orders are there. If yes, we'll check this, because this is a client requirement. I put it in local system. KB number. Yes, yeah, we have. So what I'll do is I'll just take a PO number and I'll debug and show how it works. Okay. So this purchase order 13 I'm taking. Okay. Purchase order 13 and we'll debug it. Okay. It's not. Okay. Some dump has come. So what is the issue? Let me see what is the issue. We'll execute this program. So it has selection screen, processing logic as well as ALV. So let me close my windows. Some proper handling would be there. Some structure mismatch has happened. So we'll see how this is fine. This will be also fine. Should not have an issue. Report. KB. Villain. Let me see what is the issue. Select statement, there is some issue. I'll remove this join because this is not required. try executing it. We see it executes. There's some issue with the compiler. Let me see if I can run any other reports. So create C star. Take a class interface. So basically, that is how the program will be looking like. So not sure what is its issue with compiler. So I'll check what is the issue. Okay, type is the issue. Then I copy pasted wrongly. That is the issue. Let me correct it. Now it should work. I'll execute it again. So this is my selection. I've given 30. I'll go into debug mode. Okay. So selection, select data. Data has been selected. So size of bars is 0. Means some data has been selected. So if I go back, 81, 4 records are there. Okay. Now I'll just, this is a preparation. So what happened is, why I am preparing the data like this is, my output format. Okay. So generally it's a very small table. So that is the reason it will be easily identifiable. Otherwise what will happen is, you can put a statement called move corresponding. Okay. What it will do is, it will just push the column names. Like it will see for the column name match and then push the value. But if it is having so many fields, the performance will go for a toss. So that is the reason we just loop it on my whatever the selection, and I'll just push it back to the GT output. So if you just execute it, the GT output will have 4 entries. So I'll just execute it. Nothing, just I am just looping it and I have just put it out. So this is my GT output has 4 entries. Whatever I selected in LT from the table selection, I have put it. Now this what this factory class does is, so based on my output table, whatever you are passing the data, it will give me a reference to the class in this with that particular structure. So I'll just execute it F6. So there is a CLALV. See, this reference has been called. So this CLALV table will have all the data here. So what are the types of functions? If I go to the ALV layout, so this is the ALV layouts they will have. Okay. So it will dynamically create. See, R table means our data. Whatever data reference table we are giving, that is a private attribute to CLLV table, and output structure will look similar. The same data what we given, it will take it as an input to the structure. Now, why this ALV toolbar we called is to get the toolbar on my ALV output. This is a separate step we will have to do. That is only difference. Without this, it will just give a show as an output. That's it. So now, if I go to my LR table display, this is the method, instance method, we will display my output. That's all. My output, see. So I have my toolbar. See, I haven't prepared any field catalog here. So I have just passed my internal table to the class. That itself will prepare my field catalog. What is my this labels will be coming from my data element. So if I drag and drop see purchasing document. So why this property is working is in my uh, data element we will give 4 different descriptions based on my output length. You show me the description. Okay, that is the reason you will see here. So I'll just show what it is. SE11 data element is EBELM. So in my data field label, if you go, it will say if my length is 10, show like this. If my length is 15, show this. Length is 20, show this. So if you observe, if you drag and drop, I'll put it to 10, less than 10. So it will show. See, first one it is showing purge doc. Now I'll just drag it a little bit. So it will come dynamically between 10 to 15 characters. So it will show purchasing doc. See purchasing doc. If I still drag more, it will show this complete content length. So how long the length is, if it is coming in that particular range, so 0 to 10 it will show this, 10 to 15, 11 to 15 it will show this, 16 to 20 it will show this. So that is the purpose we give the labels here. Okay, suppose now we have an option called save layouts in my ALV. So this is the normal small program. Okay, now I have only 1 2 3 4 5 fields. Okay, so I want to see it in a different way. Okay, so there is something called layout. See, this is the option, change layout. So if there is any default layout, that will come up directly. If you want to set your own layout, you can just save it. So what I can do, I think change layout is not available. Only layout. Okay, let me see if I can change it. No, we didn't give an option to save the layout. Okay, so what I can do, suppose I want to change this order, I can just change and save it as a separate layout. So this is the option I was talking about. If I click this, all these 4 entries will go to my Microsoft Excel. These are part of my standard ALV tools. Contact the following template is missing. Okay. This didn't download because there are some basis level settings. Okay. So once I click this, it will go and download in my normal Excel sheet. So these are the other functions, like you can just sort based on ascending, descending, filter, summation. I said like last time, quantity fields and currency fields, we can put a summation. So it will say total is 50. This is how my summation looks. These are all used by functional. So we'll just need to know how the things work. That's it. So here directly also we have an option to send an email. So if you give a mail recipient, we'll see if it works. So I think some additional functionality we'll have to put. So title, what are the hi, this is a test mail. So this one, what they'll do, they'll try to automate it. Because if I run the report, make sure it is going to my email. So they'll just try to avoid these steps. So all these are already available in my ALV. So this is how a normal report looks like. There are some complex reports, maybe MB23N, stock MB23N, typo error, MBW. We'll try to analyze some complex reports, maybe 1 or 2 I'll give it. Okay, so we have seen how FS looks. Then ticketing tool, actually you can see only when you are into some project, because those ticketing tools, there are so many, like service now, service manager, um, there are so many tools that we will not get access directly to those. So that based on your project, you can see that. So these things we'll just see. I think tables and so these will keep on growing actually. Tables like for everything there will be header and EKKO, EKPO for purchase orders. So in case this is even if you don't know, you can just see that analysis tool. SE30 I showed that, right? So you can just run the transaction and go to the history list or the database table list. You can see all the tables which are being being used in my this particular process. So this is just for the knowledge purpose. Okay, fine. So that's it for today. You can just check and you can just try all the examples. Okay, because this week we'll just try different examples, and we'll try to wind up by this weekend. Okay.
Raj, I have one doubt actually.
Yes.
I mean, I have one query actually.
Ah.
That regarding, can we all have one real-time project experience? That can you share like, okay, what are the codings we have to do, or how we'll, I mean, all the hard codings that you saw that one, that all the tables we have to join and we get the data. So can we saw the real-time coding like how it is
No,
done?
real-time coding, yes, we can see. We can take some standard transaction and we can see, because custom transactions anyways in demo system will not have. So you can pick any random
Acha.
T code and tell me, we can walk through. No issues.
Uh, yeah, okay, okay. Can we'll discuss later.
Anything
Okay,
is fine.
as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll
Okay.
let you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay then. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.